Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our debate. Tonight, we will discuss a very relevant topic: the impact of social media on our lives. The motion for our debate is, social media does more harm than good. On my right, we have the Affirmative Team, who will argue that social media does more harm than good. On my left, we have the Negative Team, who will argue against this motion, stating that social media does more good than harm. Each team is represented by one speaker. Here is the plan for our debate tonight. First, the affirmative speaker will present their opening statement. Second, the negative speaker will present their opening statement. Third, we will have a cross-examination period. Fourth, the negative speaker will give their closing statement, followed by the affirmative speaker's closing statement. Let's begin.
Good evening, everyone. Esteemed moderator, worthy opponents. We, the Affirmative Team, stand before you tonight to argue unequivocally that social media, despite its perceived advantages, ultimately does more harm than good. We live in an era where platforms like Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok are deeply embedded in the fabric of our daily lives, connecting billions across the globe. While we acknowledge that social media can offer benefits such as facilitating communication and providing access to information, we contend that the pervasive and often insidious negative consequences far outweigh these positives. We will demonstrate how social media contributes significantly to widespread mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, and comparison-induced low self-esteem. We will highlight its role as a breeding ground for misinformation, division, and online harassment. Furthermore, we will address the concerning issues of privacy erosion and the addictive nature of these platforms, which consume valuable time and attention. Tonight, we will present compelling evidence to support our claim that the cumulative damage inflicted by social media on individuals and society at large is substantial, proving beyond doubt that its harmful effects are, regrettably, greater than any good it may offer. Thank you.
Good evening, Moderator. Worthy opponents of the Affirmative Team, we, the Negative Team, rise today to stand firmly against the motion that social media does more harm than good. While we acknowledge the concerns raised by the affirmative regarding mental health, misinformation, and privacy, issues that certainly warrant attention and discussion, we contend that these negative aspects, while present, do not represent the dominant or overall impact of social media on society. In fact, we will demonstrate tonight that the benefits and positive contributions of social media far outweigh the harms. Social media has created unprecedented avenues for global connection, enabling individuals to stay in touch with loved ones across vast distances, build communities based on shared interests, and find support networks that may not exist offline. It serves as a powerful engine for information dissemination, providing instant access to news, educational resources, and diverse perspectives from around the world, democratizing knowledge in ways previously unimaginable. Furthermore, social media has become an essential tool for activism, social change, and economic empowerment, giving voice to marginalized groups and creating opportunities for businesses and individuals alike. We will present evidence to show that when considering the totality of its impact, social media's capacity for fostering connection, providing information, and enabling progress ensures that it ultimately does more good than harm. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator, and thank you to the Negative Team for outlining their perspective. The Negative Team argues that social media's capacity for fostering connection, providing information, and enabling progress ensures it does more good than harm. We heard claims of global connection, access to information, and tools for activism and empowerment. While we acknowledge the potential for these benefits, the Affirmative Team maintains that the reality of how social media operates and impacts users fundamentally undermines these claims, leading the harms to be far more significant and pervasive. The Negative Team highlights global connection, but fails to adequately address the rise of superficial connections, the crippling effects of comparison culture, cyberbullying, and the paradox of feeling more isolated because of constant online interaction. They laud the spread of information, yet gloss over the unprecedented spread of dangerous misinformation, the creation of harmful echo chambers, and the erosion of trust in reliable sources that are direct consequences of social media's architecture. They speak of activism and empowerment, but downplay the reality of slacktivism, the intense online harassment faced by those who do speak out, and the platform's own role in amplifying certain voices while suppressing others. Our initial points regarding mental health, misinformation, and privacy are not minor caveats. They are systemic issues deeply interwoven with how social media delivers the benefits the negative team champions. These platforms are designed to be addictive, to capture attention, often at the expense of well-being and truth. Therefore, while a superficial look might suggest benefit, a deeper examination reveals that the very mechanisms intended to connect and inform also facilitate the widespread harm we highlighted. The harms are not merely present, they are often magnified by the scale and design of social media, making them outweigh the purported good.
Thank you, Moderator, and thank you to the Affirmative Team for outlining their concerns and attempting to reframe our points. We have listened closely to the arguments regarding superficial connections, isolation, comparison culture, misinformation, echo chambers, and slacktivism. However, the Affirmative Team appears to conflate the challenges inherent in a complex communication tool with the overall impact of that tool. Yes, social media facilitates vast networks, and the quality of individual connections can vary, much like offline. The feeling of isolation is a societal issue, often mitigated by social media for those who struggle to connect in person, not solely caused by it. Comparison culture is a human trait, amplified perhaps, but not created by social media. Platforms also offer incredible support networks and positive communities. On misinformation, while it is a serious problem, social media also provides the means for rapid fact-checking, diverse perspectives to challenge falsehoods, and access to information that was previously gate-kept. To focus only on echo chambers is to ignore the potential for exposure to new ideas that these platforms also enable. Slacktivism, while perhaps less impactful than direct action, still serves to raise awareness and mobilize support on a scale previously impossible. The harms mentioned are real and require attention, but they do not define the totality of social media's impact. Millions use social media daily for genuine connection, learning, economic opportunity, and positive social change. The Affirmative Team highlights the shadows, but fails to acknowledge the immense light these platforms provide across the globe, enabling communication, access, and empowerment on an unprecedented scale that ultimately delivers far more good than harm.
Thank you, Moderator, and thank you again to the negative team. The negative team suggests that the issues we raise are mere challenges inherent in a complex tool, or societal problems merely, quote, amplified by social media. We strongly reject this framing. These harms are not incidental. They are, in fact, deeply woven into the very fabric and business model of social media platforms. Consider mental health. Studies repeatedly show a correlation between heavy social media use and increased rates of anxiety, depression, and body image issues. This isn't just comparison amplified, it's actively fueled by algorithms designed to keep users engaged by showcasing idealized, often unrealistic, portrayals of life, creating a constant cycle of inadequacy and seeking external validation. For misinformation, it's not simply a matter of access to information. It's the design of platforms where sensational, false content often spreads faster and wider than truth because it generates more engagement, thus more ad revenue. It's not just echo chambers existing. It's algorithms actively pushing users towards polarized content, making nuance and common ground harder to find. Regarding addiction, it's not just finding support networks. It's the use of variable reward systems, notifications, and infinite scroll designs specifically engineered by tech companies to hook users, consuming vast amounts of time that could be spent on real-world interactions, productivity, or rest. The negative team asks us to acknowledge the light, but fails to grapple with the pervasive shadow cast by platforms whose primary directive is perpetual engagement for profit, often regardless of the psychological or societal cost. These are not minor glitches. They are systemic consequences of how social media is built and operates, making the harm profoundly outweigh the good.
Thank you, Moderator, and thank you again to the Affirmative Team. We hear your argument that the harms are deeply embedded in the design and business model of social media. You focus on algorithms fueling addiction, misinformation spread, and comparison culture. However, this perspective overlooks a crucial point. The very same design elements you criticize are often what enable the widespread good we champion. Algorithms, while capable of amplifying negative content or fostering engagement, are also essential for connecting individuals with vital support groups, disseminating critical public health information rapidly, and organizing movements for positive change on a global scale. The engagement model, while sometimes leading to excessive use, is precisely what allows billions of people to access information, education, and connection for free. The ability to spread content quickly can unfortunately facilitate misinformation, but it equally facilitates rapid fact-checking and the spread of counter-narratives, often within the same platforms. Focusing solely on the potential for harm inherent in a design feature is like blaming the printing press for the spread of propaganda while ignoring its role in the spread of literacy and knowledge. Social media platforms are complex tools with dual potential, but the sheer scale of positive connection fostered, knowledge shared, opportunities created, and voices empowered by their design demonstrates that the good is not a minor caveat, but a profound and widespread reality that ultimately outweighs the acknowledged harms.
Thank you to both teams for presenting your arguments and engaging in this detailed discussion. We have heard strong points from both the affirmative and negative sides regarding the impact of social media. We will now move to the next part of our debate, the cross-examination period. In this section, each speaker will have the opportunity to ask questions of the opposing speaker. We will begin with the affirmative speaker, who will ask questions to the negative speaker for up to 3 minutes. Following this, the negative speaker will ask questions to the affirmative speaker for up to 3 minutes. Affirmative speaker, you may now begin your cross-examination of the negative speaker.
Thank you, Moderator, and thank you to our worthy opponents. We have heard arguments for the perceived benefits of social media, connection, information, empowerment. But throughout this debate, the affirmative team has presented compelling evidence demonstrating that the systemic harms woven into the very fabric of social media platforms far outweigh these potential goods. We have shown how social media contributes directly to a growing mental health crisis, fueling anxiety, depression, and damaging comparison through its design. We have highlighted its role as a superspreader of dangerous misinformation, eroding trust, and deepening societal divisions. We have discussed the insidious nature of platform addiction, consuming valuable time and attention for the sake of engagement and profit. These are not minor issues. They are profound societal and individual costs stemming directly from how social media operates. While connection and information are possible, the reality is often superficial interaction, curated realities, and access to falsehoods amplified by algorithms prioritizing clicks over truth or well-being. The potential for good exists, but it is overshadowed by the pervasive and often devastating harm caused by platforms designed for maximum engagement, regardless of the human cost. Therefore, we stand firm in our conviction. When considering the full impact on mental well-being, truth, privacy, and societal cohesion, social media undeniably does more harm than good. Thank you.
Thank you, Moderator, and thank you once more to the affirmative team for a robust debate. We have heard tonight passionate arguments highlighting the very real challenges associated with social media, including concerns about mental health, misinformation, and privacy. We acknowledge these issues exist and require ongoing attention and mitigation. However, the core of our argument, which we maintain in this closing, is that when we weigh these harms against the truly transformative and widespread benefits, social media ultimately does more good than harm. We have demonstrated how social media provides unprecedented global connectivity, bridging distances and fostering communities for billions of people, offering vital support networks and combating isolation for many. We have shown its power as a tool for rapid, widespread information dissemination, education, and access to diverse perspectives, democratizing knowledge on a scale previously unimaginable. Furthermore, we have highlighted its crucial role in enabling social activism, giving voice to marginalized groups, and creating economic opportunities for individuals and businesses worldwide. These are not minor benefits. They are fundamental shifts that have positively impacted countless lives and advanced societal progress. While the affirmative focuses intently on the shadows, they underestimate the vast and pervasive light that social media casts across the globe. The ability to connect, learn, and empower is a daily reality for billions, fundamentally improving their lives and driving positive change. Therefore, despite the acknowledged challenges, the sheer scale and depth of the positive impact, the genuine connections made, the knowledge shared, the opportunities created, the voices heard, far outweigh the harms. We stand firm. Social media does more good than harm. Thank you.
Thank you to both teams for their closing statements and for this very interesting and important debate tonight. We have heard strong arguments on both sides regarding whether social media does more harm than good. Thank you to our affirmative speaker and our negative speaker for their participation and thoughtful contributions. This concludes our debate. Thank you all for attending.